Living in a quiet suburban neighborhood was supposed to be peaceful, but that illusion shattered the day the HOA President, a woman named Deborah, known to most residents as Karen with a clipboard, decided my truck didn't belong. She'd always been nosy, poking around people's yards, issuing fines for grass an inch too long, and acting like she owned the entire street. But last Thursday, she crossed a line that none of us expected. I was working from home, enjoying my coffee, when I heard a faint clinking noise from the driveway. Curious, I peered through the window and saw Deborah hunched over my pickup truck, fiddling with something near the handle. At first, I thought maybe she was leaving a notice or a ticket, as she often did. But then I noticed she wasn't holding paper, she was holding a key. I stepped outside and calmly asked, "Deborah, what are you doing?" She didn't flinch. In her usual condescending tone, she snapped, "This vehicle has been parked improperly for days, and as HOA President, I have the right to access and inspect any vehicle in violation of the rules." I was stunned. "You think you can just unlock someone's private vehicle?" I asked, trying to remain calm. She held up a ring of shiny keys like they were badges of honor. "We have master keys for most of the neighborhood-approved vehicles," she said smugly. "This key should work." It didn't. She kept jiggling it, scratching the paint in the process. That's when I pulled out my phone and began recording. "Please step away from my truck," I said firmly. She turned, eyes wide, and immediately dialed 911. "Yes, I'm being threatened by a resident. He's acting aggressively, and I fear for my safety." She lied without hesitation. The nerve of this woman. All I had done was ask her to stop trying to break into my vehicle. Within minutes, 2 squad cars pulled up, and the officers got out cautiously. Deborah rushed over to them like a child reporting a stolen toy, dramatically, claiming I'd threatened her and she had no choice but to defend community safety. I remained calm, greeted the officers, and without saying much, handed one of them my phone with the video recording. "By the way, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments." They watched the footage in silence, one eyebrow raising, the other frowning. Deborah, sensing a shift, began to talk faster, her words tumbling over each other, but the damage was done. The officers approached her and asked, "Do you have any legal documentation giving you permission to access this resident's vehicle?" Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. She claimed that the HOA guidelines gave her authority over improperly parked property. One officer said flatly, "HOA rules aren't criminal law. You tried to enter a private vehicle without permission and you lied to dispatch. That's attempted unlawful entry and filing a false police report." She sputtered in disbelief, still trying to argue when the handcuffs came out. A few neighbors had gathered by then, watching the spectacle unfold, some filming, some whispering. Deborah was placed in the back of the squad car, still yelling about her rights and the HOA handbook. One neighbor muttered, "Guess the only key she has now is to trouble." The officers took my statement, confirmed I didn't want to press additional charges, and thanked me for remaining calm. They told me she'd be charged and likely receive a restraining order, prohibiting her from coming near my property again. I watched as the squad car pulled away with Deborah inside, red-faced and defeated. The following day, a letter was taped to every door in the neighborhood. A special HOA meeting had been called to address leadership concerns. I attended, along with half the neighborhood, and it didn't take long before the board voted unanimously to remove Deborah from her position as president. Apparently, I wasn't the only one she'd harassed. She tried the same master key stunt onto other homes in the past, but had never been caught. One board member admitted they'd let it slide because no one had real proof until now. The story made local headlines. HOA President arrested after attempted vehicle entry. And for weeks, the neighborhood felt lighter, freer, like we'd all been released from a strange suburban dictatorship. It's strange how power can twist a person, and stranger still how it can all unravel with a single lie and a phone camera. I later upgraded my truck's lock system and installed a security camera over my driveway, not out of fear, but as a reminder of the day I stood up to a petty tyrant and the law stood with me. Would you have done the same if someone claimed they had a right to open your car? Without permission, asterisk.